If being hard on yourself actually worked, your performance and your peace would have peaked by now. If shame worked, if criticism worked, if beating yourself up made lasting change easier, you would be somewhere different by now. But for a lot of people, it goes the other way. You know what to do, you know what would help, and somehow you still don't do it. So you get harder on yourself. You call yourself lazy or undisciplined or weak or too much or not enough. And somehow that only makes it worse. You shut down faster, you hide more, you numb out sooner, you repeat the same pattern again. It's the hidden tax on your leadership. It's the mental load you are carrying into your meetings and your home life. And then you use that as proof that you should be harder on yourself. And that's the trap. Because self-criticism feels like motivation. It feels like accountability. It feels like discipline. It feels like you're trying to fix the problem. But most of the time, it's doing the opposite. Self-criticism doesn't create the conditions for change. It quietly makes change harder. And one of the hardest parts is that critical voice usually isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to protect you. Most people think the inner critic is the problem. But more often, it's a protector, a scared one, a tired one, an overworked one. A part of you that learned somewhere along the way that fear was the safest way to keep you in line. So it criticizes first before anyone else can. Before you fail, before you get rejected, before you get it wrong in public. It pushes, it pressures, it corrects, it tries to keep you acceptable, safe, and in control. It's usually not trying to ruin your life. It's trying to prevent pain. It's just using fear to do it. And fear is a terrible teacher. Because when you turn on yourself like that, you don't get clearer, you get tighter, smaller, more defended, and less honest. Less able to stay with what's actually true. So the very voice trying to force change creates the exact conditions that make change harder. That's the hidden cost. Not just that self-criticism feels bad. It makes honesty feel unsafe. And when honesty feels unsafe, we don't get more accountable, we get more defended. So self-criticism turns mistakes into shame, and shame turns into secrecy. We hide it, we minimize it, we avoid it, we numb it, we explain it away. We promise we'll do better next time, but we never really stay with it long enough to understand what actually happens. And that's how the pattern stays intact. Self-criticism can look like accountability, but a lot of the time, it's just shame with good branding. It feels productive because it's intense, but intensity is not the same thing as change. If every mistake becomes a courtroom, of course, part of you wants to hide the evidence. And what we practice internally doesn't stay internal. The way we speak to ourselves becomes the emotional climate we bring to our relationships. It shows up in the short tone, the impatience, the way someone else's mess suddenly feels harder to hold. If the only way you know how to meet your own struggle is with judgment, it eventually becomes how you meet other people too. And that's part of what makes self-criticism so costly. It doesn't just shape how you feel, it shapes how you relate. But when that critical voice softens, even a little, something shifts. You make a mistake, you have a hard night, maybe a night of reactive eating or a total energy crash, whatever your version of checking out is. And instead of that moment becoming the beginning of a spiral, instead of shame pulling you further down, you notice and you come back. Not perfectly, not without discomfort, but faster and with more steadiness. That is what it means to come back to center, back to a place where you can actually think and where you have access to your own wisdom instead of just your fear. And from that place, real change becomes possible. Not because you finally got hard enough on yourself, but because it became safe enough to stay present with what happened. Compassion is not the reward for getting it right. It's a strategic requirement for staying present and effective. It's what makes it safe enough to tell the truth. If this feels hard to do alone, that makes sense. Most people were never taught how to meet themselves in this way, but it is something you can learn. And if that's the kind of work you feel ready for, building more honesty, more safety, and a different relationship with yourself, I'll leave a link below in the video description if you'd like support. And if you are ready to stop the courtroom drama in your head, the first step is creating space. You can watch my deep dive in the S in spaces in this video here. Thanks so much for being here. I will see you in the next video.